make no bones about it. I am an ardent NDPer. I think that the New Democratic Party in Canada is behind much of the best legislation that this country has ever known. The most well-known being, of course, the National Health Service, which starts with the NDP, and then eventually the Liberals catch on and they adopt it. And eventually the Conservatives, always the last for anything that deals with human welfare, will finally come to tacitly at least accept it. And I have to say that the New Democratic Party is in a lot of people are making fun of what Jagmeet Singh did when he tore up the agreement. And then subsequently, when Pierre Poilievre tried to bring down the government, backed the Liberals. And of course, Poilievre, with his foul mouth, called him a fake, a phony, a fraud, and a liar. And of course, didn't get thrown out of Parliament for that, or suspended, because the Speaker of the House, Greg Fergus, who is a very nice man, is just too gentle for this kind of job. Anyway, the point is that Singh has taken a lot of flack, and all the pundits, on CTV and on CBC and so on say, well, he's in a position here. Well, the problem is that just because the NDP has torn up the agreement with the Liberals, and just because Singh quite rightly, and using quite strong language, made some very negative comments about the Liberals' desire for real reform, nevertheless, the Liberals can be counted on occasionally to do the right thing, which is why there was this a supply agreement in the first place, which did bring about some very positive steps here in Canada, including we're on the way, finally, to recognizing that teeth are part of the human body and should belong to the National Health Service, and that drugs also, even with the National Health Service, some people have problems paying for their pharmaceuticals. And these are things that are all to the good. But the fact of the matter is there's no way that the NDP can work with the Conservatives, and particularly not the Canadian Conservatives as they are now, with a former head, albeit temporary, Candice Bergen, having gone down to Washington on the famous January 6th, wearing a MAGA hat and saying, "Make America Great Again." And this is what one is going to work with. And Pierre Poilievre, who all his life on your dime has gotten free medical care, free dental care, free chauffeur, free this, free that. And yet, he can't find it in his heart, or lack thereof, to support things like pharmacare and dental care. He hasn't promised that he'd support them. He's playing coy. He gets this on taxpayers' money, and then he says, there's not enough in the budget for the rest of you. Just something as simple as that, and people don't seem to get it. Talk about being a fake, a phony, a fraud, and a liar. You can't do better than Pierre Poilievre. So once again, to return to what I was saying about the NDP, yes, it is in a tough position. I mean, there is the desire for the NDP to pass the Liberals as they did in 2011 and become the leading opposition party. And Singh says, as he did the last time, which is perhaps a bit of a long shot, that he's aiming to be the next prime minister. And that's a tough one, because I just don't think that there are enough Canadians. Canada is not the country of Pierre Poilievre, but it isn't quite either a country that is majority NDP. So the problem is this. Do you want to try to do you want to try to go all out for power? Means basically trying to eliminate the Liberals. Do you want to accept that Poilievre is going to win, but that you're going to have the biggest chunk of the opposition, and the opposition that will be left of what is currently the situation with the Liberals, I have no solutions on this. I just think that, as Sink said, we're just going to judge the government issue by issue. And frankly, I don't think there's any issue at the moment with the Conservatives leading, which could possibly lead to the NDP bringing this government down. We need time to show Poilievre in particular and the Conservatives in general who in blazes they are. And hopefully, in enough time, enough Canadians will come to see that however much they may say, screw Trudeau, that some reformist tendencies are superior to anything that could emanate from the Conservatives. Or to paraphrase a famous boxer, there's plenty wrong with Canada. You and I can agree on that. But there ain't nothing wrong with Canada that Pierre Poilievre is going to fix.